a lot of hatred for ChatGPT Work at the moment, especially if you're on Twitter or Reddit or any of the places where power users of artificial intelligence hang out. You'll see a lot of people who are very, very annoyed with OpenAI, the creators of ChatGPT. I'm going to be talking about why that is and why I think it's misguided. That is a misjudged and ill-focused contempt at the moment, because ChatGPT Work is not for you. If you are a power user, if you are somebody who uses Codex, then ChatGPT Work is not for you. Instead, it is for the 1 billion other people who are using ChatGPT on a daily basis. And I think really exciting, because finally, the rest of the world has access to agentic artificial intelligence, something that you as a power user may have been using for months or years. Now everybody else has, and that is exciting. So I'm going to be digging into what ChatGPT Work is. If you're a power user, I'm going to ask you to expand your mind a little bit and think about the 1 billion other people. Or if you are somebody who is not using Codex, not using Claude Code, not at that level of artificial intelligence yet, I'm going to be talking about what ChatGPT Work is and how it can help you up your game. So let's jump into it. If you head over to ChatGPT now, you're going to see two tabs at the top. You're going to see one that is chat and one that is work. Initially, it's not very clear what the difference is. It gets even more confusing if you are using the desktop app, because on there you have ChatGPT Work and ChatGPT Codex. And then you also have ChatGPT via a little pop-up. It's a little bit confusing, and the UI, I admit, is not very good. However, I still think this is a good and exciting thing for the main users of ChatGPT. Remember, the billion monthly active users. There are 7 million, which is still a lot, of people using Codex. These are power users, people who are using artificial intelligence not to ask questions, but to actually build using AI. So if you're using Claude Code, if you're using Cursor, if you're using Codex, God knows why they all begin with C, you are in this small group, this percentage of a percentage of a percentage. However, we are a very loud minority. We complain about absolutely everything. So people like Thibaut, who works for OpenAI on the Codex team, are out there trying to spread goodwill while we are complaining and saying, what have you done to our ChatGPT? You have ruined it. Again, we need to remember there's a billion other people. I think what is really exciting here is that we are bridging between the old way of using artificial intelligence, the way that we used AI back in 2023, 2024, even into 2025, was by chatting. We talked back and forward. I'm actually going to pull up Ethan Mollick here. Ethan talked about 4 stages of generations for modern artificial intelligence. So specifically, first was GPT 3.5, the first widespread generative AI moment that sparked global interest. Though hampered by hallucinations and lack of tools, it wasn't very good. And it couldn't search the internet. Remember those days, my God. GPT-4 came about 6 months later and was the first model that was actually usable. You could actually use it in daily work. So for a lot of people, they realized that, oh my God, this is genuinely useful. This is not just a toy, but something that I can integrate into my daily life. After that, we had reasoners. This was things like O1 and O3, which came from ChatGPT. And they were built using chain of thought to be able to reason through tasks. Those are only about a year old, just over a year old. Time just moves very, very quickly in artificial intelligence. So we take this for granted now because this is in pretty much every model. And then the fourth stage, as Ethan Mollick calls it, was the agentic systems. This was around December 2025, so less than a year ago. We started to get agentic systems that actually did the work for us. Previous systems were primarily we ask questions and then we would go off and do the work. Agentic systems like OpenClaw, Hermes, Claude Code, and now Codex do the work for us. They take what we want to do and they do the work. So this meant the power users of artificial intelligence had a transition. Since December 2025, so it's only been about 6 months, 7 months, we moved from asking our AIs to actually having the AIs do the work for us. We have become used to this. We take this for granted now because we have the AI doing so much for us. We have agents, we have loops, we have different systems and workflows that are all doing this work for us. Most people do not. And remember, there's 7 million power users using Codex. There are 1 billion average users on ChatGPT, much bigger number. So what happening here is we're moving through the phases of artificial intelligence, and now the general public has access to work. They have the ability to have their AI do something for them. So I like to think of 3 different doors, 3 different ways into ChatGPT. We have the basic, which is chat, that allows us to go back and forward and to discuss ideas and come up with a plan, but then we go off and do the plan. we now have work, which allows us to go ahead and implement that work. It allows us to make something using artificial intelligence. And then finally, we have code. This is building software applications. And generally, we're going to be using something like Codex, which comes from ChatGPT, or Claude Code, which comes from Anthropic, or maybe something like Cursor, which has just been purchased by XAI. So these are the three modalities. None of these is inherently better than any other. We need to match it to the work we want to do. So we will still use chat when we are exploring. We need advice we haven't decided yet, where the actual answer from the AI is what we want. That is the output, is the answer. This is still really useful because sometimes if you instead use Work or Codex, they will start to build, they will start to create, they will run off, spin off sub-agents and start to do the thing for you. But maybe you just want to chat. Maybe you just want to say, hey, I'm thinking of doing this. I want to start up a business. So for example, I threw this in before. Let me see if I can find it. Here we go, product idea for revenue. So I just threw into chat, hey, I want to work on a new product idea, something to add an extra $1,000 a month in revenue recurring. And it starts to walk me through the process. So notice here, it's asking me questions, it's working out what we can do, and then I can just go turn by turn and go through this idea with chat. Chat is still very useful for this. It is not immediately trying to build for me. It is not spinning up agents and trying to do the work. Very, very important. Use work, which is the new mode I've added into ChatGPT, when you actually want to get something done. When you already know what that outcome looks like. So you're not discussing, you're not going back and forward, but you know, oh, actually, this is the plan I want to follow. Let's go ahead and start getting it done. When it needs multiple steps, so you're not going to be going back and forward, but instead you're going to have agents go off and do the work, and they will work out how to do that. And you want a thing. It could be a report. It could be a presentation. The presentation that you're looking at right now on screen was created by ChatGPT Work, for example. And you want something that is not just a chat response, but an actual asset, something that you're going to be using. Not necessarily a piece of software. That's going to be in Codex, which is the next step. And one thing you can do, and it works really well, is you can hand off. So this is what I do personally. I will start in a chat like this, and I will go back and forward with ChatGPT, and you can still select intelligent models. So you can select in here Soul, you can put it onto extra high. I've got it in Pro at the moment, so you can still have an intelligent chat with the AI. And then once you are happy with the shape of what you've discussed, you can click on this share button here. You can click on copy link, and that's going to give you access to everything within that chat. And then you can move over, start a new chat, open it in Work, and literally paste that link in and say, hey, I want to continue from this thread. So I'm taking all of the thoughts that we've gone through inside of chat and just porting them over using this link to Work in order to begin the next stages. So that's just one way that you can immediately synchronize them together. And can you see now it is thinking? This is going to take much longer. It's also going to start creating outputs. It's going to start collecting sources. It's going to be a much more in-depth process, which when you are brainstorming, when you just want to talk back and forth with an AI, you don't necessarily want. So again, different modalities for different uses. So that's going to take a while. I'm not even going to watch that because that will not be very exciting. So we will use chat initially, and then we will add it in to Work. So this is how I built this deck that you're looking at right now. I started in chat, going back and forward saying, hey, I want to do a live stream talking about ChatGPT Work and how you can use it, the different modalities. We went back and forward until it eventually gave me an outline. And once I had that outline, I said, okay, let's take it over to Work. I took the link over to Work and said, go ahead and build the deck. And it's already loaded with things like my skill files. It has access to my AI brain. These are more advanced topics, but it knew what to do with the chat that we had, and therefore it was able to implement for me. So highly, highly important to know how to use these different modalities for different types of work. Even if you're a power user, you can still do this. So I think the quickest way to think of this is working out what you actually want. What do you want as an end product? If you just want to think something through, use chat. And you don't mind having just an answer from an AI, the answer itself is the outcome. That's fine. Use chat. Continue to do so. If you want to make something, if you want to make a document, if you want to make a presentation, if you want to make a social media post, for example, use Work. Because Work is going to be able to take all of the ideas, take all of the discussions that you have with the AI and turn it into something valuable, something that is an asset, something you can actually download and send to people. And then if you want to go to the next stage and you want to build a piece of software, you want to hook it to a database, you want to be able to publish it and have other people access it, create user accounts, etc., pay you money, then you're going to use Codex. If you want to go to that level, you're going to have to download the desktop application on Mac or PC, and that will push you into a mode where you have Work and Codex, and they're going to be the main places that you are using inside of the application. Whereas if you're on your telephone or if you're on the web version, like this thing that we're looking at right here, then you're going to be in Chat or Work. Now, that's why people are getting confused, because the different modalities are available on different surfaces, depending on if you're on your phone, if you're on the web version, or if you're on the application. I think that will probably be resolved, because admittedly, that is very confusing. However, I think the main lesson here stands. Depending on what you want to get from the AI, use these different modalities. And if you've never used Codex, I highly, 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 highly recommend getting into Work and just kind of prodding around the edges to see what it can do for you. Asking, I wonder if the AI will be able to create a presentation deck for me, or I wonder if it will be able to pull from these different sources and create a nice looking report. Yes, it will be able to do that. So you just need to start expanding out your boundaries of what you use AI for, now that we're not just using it to chat. Now that we're not just using it for very basic things, and instead we're able to spin up agents that will go and research. They will proof, they will correct, they will do various different things in the background for you and help you come out with a high quality output. So if you're not a power user, definitely experiment with Work, see what it can do, and then start to fold it into your day-to-day. And welcome to Agentic AI, something that the power users have been using for the last 6 to 9 months and have not shut up about, now is available for 1 billion people out there, which for me overrides any annoyance with the UI and the UX, at least for the meantime. If you find this useful and you want to learn more about ChatGPT Work, check below this video and there's going to be a link which will take you to a little resource pack that I put together, just helping you get orientated and helping you get started. And while you're checking things out, make sure you come over to AI with Kyle, and you can sign up for my newsletter, totally free about this. Basically build while it lasts. At the moment, OpenAI and Anthropic are fighting. They are up against each other in a knife fight, and whilst they are fighting, they are giving us very, very cheap artificial intelligence. So this was a few days ago, 3 days ago. Anthropic extended Claude Fable 5 for another week. And then 57 minutes and 53 seconds later, OpenAI, Thibault specifically, popped back in and he's like, hey, we have removed the 5-hour limits and we've reset your usage. So these two are fighting each other right now. And even at the end of the week, I think Claude will either have to release Opus 5 or continue to extend Fable, because if they don't, they fall behind ChatGPT. They fall behind even Grok 4.5, because their top model on the subscription will be Opus 4.8, which is no longer good enough. So while these two companies are fighting, while the billionaires are duking it out, that is fantastic for us, because it means we get resets, we get extension in usage, we get cheap tokens, we get subsidized usage. So instead of spending thousands on the API, we're getting everything for $100 a month. So the newsletter today was about, hey, you should be building as quickly as possible during this good time, before the prices go up, before they push for their initial public offerings and go public, where they need to show a profit. They're going to jack the prices up. So you've got a relatively limited amount of time to build something, to build a business, a product, a service that is going to cash flow you so that you can afford in the future to continue to use artificial intelligence. Otherwise, there's this fear of the permanent underclass. The people who use AI will be able to make more money and therefore be able to afford AI, and they'll be able to make more money. So they go up. The people who are not using AI because they think it's abhorrent and they don't want to use it, or the people who can't afford to use AI now, will not be able to build. So they won't be able to generate incomes. Their jobs are going to be at threat because of artificial intelligence. And even if they want to get in and get on board later with artificial intelligence, the prices are going to go up, because they're going to come off the subsidized subscriptions. So they enter basically a death spiral. So right now, for the next 6 months, 12 months, build something. Start to generate an income using AI whilst